Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Big Chief channel. Joining you today is myself, your host, Darren Lee, as well as a familiar face, none other than John Tan. John Tan, here you are. Welcome in the studio. How are you
Hi,
doing today, man?
fantastic, man. How times
Awesome.
fly. Just 1 week ago, I thought I was here.
Right. And last week we actually talked about what was it again, John? Please remind me.
Transmedia. Just to backtrack,
Transmedia.
before that, we went into brand communication, and
Right.
there is a need to understand there are four macro modes, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Advertising, PR, events, experiences, hard sales. Those are mass modes, and two micro modes, personal selling, direct marketing. So set the ball rolling. Last week we want to let everyone be mindful of, especially those who are new to branding the product or service, the existence of transmedia.
Right.
Transmedia
Right.
is like transborder, so there are various areas to be mindful of. One is
Yeah.
of course the physical realm and the online realm, or virtual realm,
Yeah.
or digital if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then there's different types of format for story, meaning
That's right.
static versus motion, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then to always be mindful of at which stage of the consumer journey that we are
Yeah.
communicating to at what time. And
Yeah.
just in short, I offered three stages, although there are 5 to 7 stages. First stage is, are you talking to someone who has low awareness or no awareness?
Yeah.
Second stage, they know something about it because you have shared with them the benefits and what matters to them, but they have not reached a stage of wanting to buy or try your product or service. And the third stage is decision, but
Mm-hmm.
not Viola yet, because they haven't decided which brand to buy. So
Yeah.
knowing these three stages, our communication will be specific, because
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this field for so long and I read a lot of communication. Some are sorry, way off target. They
Yeah.
very clear they
And
did not check at which stage.
yeah.
Correct.
And I think a lot of people also can agree on this that in Malaysia specifically, a lot of advertising actually is not very relevant to the target audience. We're still quite
Mm,
behind all the competitors in the Western countries where advertising is hyper specific, hyper targeted towards consumers
yeah.
and stuff like that. And last week we actually talked about the theory part, and we also jumped into some practical kind of examples. So maybe we can do the same also for this week, John.
Yeah.
All
This
right,
week
John.
we this week we
Sorry.
are going to address, because we know transmedia types of media, the format available for story or communication. Because today the buzzword is story. Although afterwards I like to clarify, the word story is abused. There is a correct reference to it and a lot of bad references to it. We need to know that. Now this week is very crucial for us, especially we all know that thanks to online, thanks to free media and so forth, the the lesser player, that means not the big boys yet, they
Yeah.
have not the level playing field, but have more opportunity to be seen and heard, isn't it? Right? But
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked this question many times whenever I talk about branding. It's a very relevant question. And the question, the two, one is, can my brand story, how I started, be used over and over again? I said, of course, because that's your story, right? And then what about the advertising that I do? I put up one, but there's so many media out there. What do I do? I say the good news is you can repurpose the same story. So today our context and crux will be how to purpose a story. I'll share with the audience the many ways to purpose your story in the first place.
Very
And
interesting.
once you put out one, There's so many social media, right? So many. I mean, at
Yeah.
last count, there at least 10 very popular, famous.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I am having a struggle every day just to visit all this. I'm sure the people in the audience having their own brand are having this challenge. But that's the
That's
world we are
right.
in. But there is a way you can repurpose the same story. And
Okay.
we can start the ball rolling today, Aaron, by looking at, first of all, we must have a content strategy.
Right.
Overall, two factors: the content ideation system to work out the content of what story we want to tell, what purpose, blah blah blah, for the whole year.
Basically, you gotta have like an idea of where you're going, right?
Yeah, yeah, the whole year, and not like,
Okay.
what do I do now? That's ad hoc. I mean, what do I
Right.
do ad hoc? So this content ideation system is very important, preferably for 12 months. If not, then at least 6 months. At worst, minimum 3 months ahead. 3 months
Mm-hmm.
ahead. And once we have that, we can at the certain time know what to share out to the world. Secondly,
Mm.
once we have this content ideation system, we know what to write, what to visualize, and so forth. We need to have a term sounds really big, but it's actually not a big term. Content distribution. Where are you going to distribute your
Ooh.
content, isn't it? So that's where the challenge is, as I mentioned. It's so many social
Can
media.
use Lala Move.
Sorry, Lala move.
Distribute.
Not in the physical sense. So yeah, I mean, you distribute to where you. Those
Yeah.
days we talk about distributing your product or service. Where are you going to offer your services, set up branches, whatever, or agents? But
Mm-hmm.
today, not just today, 10 years back, especially online, you need to know where you want to be and where you
Yeah.
don't want to. So that's where we are going for today for 30 minutes. Yeah.
Nice.
Shall we start with the how to purpose your story?
Sure. I think
Yeah.
so this is actually like you already have a brand story, right? And then now because you are going onto let's say different platforms, you have to repurpose for those platforms, right? Is this okay, okay.
I'm going
So
to
do you have
segmentize the various types of story. Yeah?
mm-hmm.
Because brand story, whatever comes out from your brand is a brand story. But rather we be certain brand story is relating to how your company got started. What's so
Ah,
special about your company, or the purpose, or why your company exists. A
right.
bit of a extra, a bit of sexy in terms of attractive, dear
Uh-huh.
audience, not sexy in terms of voluptuousness. In advertising, we say sexy means it's attractive, got
Right.
future. So the purpose of this brand existence, yeah, why are we into this? For instance, WhatsApp got started by two partners, one of which was actually from a war zone, and
Yeah.
and he had problem reaching to his family and all that. And for a long time, he didn't want to commercialize the brand. Until one day, I don't know how Facebook managed. The money was very
Mm-hmm.
big. He was resisting it. So he had a purpose for coming up with that software, not just a
Yeah.
not just a software that can make money. And every brand must look into that purpose. If you don't have that purpose, then you have to not coin, not bluff, work out a purpose. So that is your brand story. That what other purpose do you have? Many, Aaron. You in this field, of course, you're very aware. For the audience, you're not aware. Many. Now, just to backtrack, this is today, I believe, the 10 in the series. The This is on brand communication, the third circle. The second circle, brand management. The first circle, brand identity. So where can you find the many purposes to come up with the story or communication? Yeah, I use the word story because today is storytelling is the buzzword. You start with your, first of all, the why do you exist, your brand purpose, as well as what is your social purpose, usually brand purpose, how you started, and how you want to socially integrate with the consumers, is is the first thing that you do. What is your brand vision? There's another purpose. Out of the brand identity, what is your essence? What is your
Mm.
essence? Like Disney is a family togetherness, and for many brands, they have their own essence. Essence is also a value, but the essence is defined as, without that value, the brand doesn't exist. It's the same as a person values and essence. Then you have a list of 3 to 5 core values. So you can have one purpose of 5 core values, or you can have 5 story purposes there. Sorry, I'm
Ooh.
now using my fingers to count. 9 purposes already. So why are, I'm not being sarcastic. Why are a lot of brand owners find it so hard to come up with purposes? Because I assume, they haven't or did not work out a brand strategy. So that's why this series of 10 and 2 more to go is to help us come up with your own brand strategy. You don't need a consultant to do that. Not to
Yep.
say consultancy is not necessary, but you save a lot. But the whole intention is that you have a brand strategy. So I've given you 9 purposes. Then we move on to the brand management, the brand positioning. How do you position your product service? Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 10 purpose. The 11th purpose is, what is your brand promise? The 12th purpose is, what is your culture of delivering to the customer? So there are 12 purposes there already, right? Shall we have more?
Is there more?
There are more, right?
Oh la
Because
la.
those are your what they call that, what's inherent to you. You could come up
Right.
with a story with a purpose. Purpose in this context is specific purpose, to the specific target audience you are communicating with. It could be a problem solution story.
Mm-hmm.
It could be enticing your customer to go up to the next level of performance. Yeah. It could be shoes you're selling, next level of performance. It could be a service, entice people to get a service you never got before at a good price, etc., etc. There are
Right.
people, your people have desires. Either if you're selling personal product service or organization, you fulfill that desire. So there's another purpose there. Then people would have goal, yeah, because humans have desire to grow. Yeah, all humans have desire to grow. Some may not
Right.
admit it, because
So
there's a
that's why,
famous
like,
saying. Yeah,
when people say, right, oh, I'm not so sure what to write for my brand story. Actually, it's quite, there's so many things to write about, right? Maybe they're not looking at objectively, there are, these 12 points or even
yeah,
more than that, right?
yeah. It
John,
starts with,
I was actually
yeah.
wondering, maybe we can share an example of a brand story, and maybe you can point back on which points, parts of the brand story there are, and then you can point out which this one is, which type of the point
Yeah,
that you just mentioned. Are
yeah,
you
I'll
cool with
use
that?
some well-known brand, not because they are well-known, but because they come up with, of course, lah. That's why they're well-known brand. Very good brand story. This brand story is from Nike.
Okay.
2012, I believe, the Olympics was held in London,
Mm-hmm.
and they cleverly Nike, of course, they got money, they could even be a sponsor. But what they did was a term called brand hijacking,
Oh.
purposely time at that period, because Olympics is for champions, isn't it? The best of the
Mm-hmm.
best in the world, right? Yeah. Now, while Nike is a shoe that is endorsed and bought by champions, because they're not cheap, but they are not humongously expensive. Their top range is actually, of course, non-commission. The top range actually about 600, 800 ringgit,
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
Yeah.
US and will be cheaper. So what they do is they did a series commercial. There's a greatness in everyone.
Mm.
Have you watched it? They've done a series because there's so much budget. The best
Yeah.
the best one I like is start with the fat boy,
Mm-hmm.
struggling along the road, puff 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 whatever, and the narrative was, I
Yeah.
paraphrase. Many people think, you know only champions can be, can be having greatness. It
Yeah.
is not correct. Everyone has a greatness in you. Yeah? So it's a
Yeah.
very intrinsic message, and actually turn the brand around.
Yeah.
They did not change.
Basically, to
Ah,
say like everyone can wear Nike lah.
everyone can wear Nike, and
Not
because
only
they
champions
time
can wear Nike.
they,
Yeah.
they time it with the Olympic Championship. The sales exploded.
That's
That
right.
is
That's
one
right.
of the commercials I've seen in my whole life of advertising. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Because it's very very relevant. Yeah. Another one that came in many years ago before online. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
brand story is not new, Aaron, as you know. Storytelling, 2,000 years ago there was no storytelling, but in the field of advertising, many people have not gotten into it. Now
Yeah.
this those days cassette. Nowadays people don't play cassette anymore. Cassette tape. Maxell.
Right.
Maxell, one of the best brands. So the commercial happens in the one of those military camp. So once a
Military
week
cat.
or once, yeah, it is American commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So once a week or once a month, they get the letters or whatever from their loved ones. And this one was a tape, Maxell, yeah. And the very famous song those days, today people will still know, Dear John, something like, like I cannot wait for anymore. I now married your brother, something like that.
Ooh.
It's not a happy song. So
Uh-huh.
so they use this song, and Dear John, blah blah. I
It's about
now
you lah, right?
not
Someone broke
wait.
your heart, John.
So happened to be John. So happened to be John. And then I married your brother. And the ending line, Evan, is so beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Even the bad news sounds good. You know,
Uh-huh.
like American
Yeah.
commercials were
Yeah.
among the first to use humor. So these two are two of the most fantastic commercials I haven't seen using a story.
Right. And all of this, right? I mean, just trying to tie it together with the distribution. I mean, since we haven't come into that
Yeah.
yet, they what kind of distribution do they use? Like they use mostly is through outdoors advertising, right?
The content distribution, as we know, just like transmedia, we covered the basic of virtual and physical, then the static motion, audio, video, etc. Right? So this
Mm-hmm.
is the same. Are you going to go to the physical realm plus
Mm-hmm.
the virtual realm? Today is best
Right.
to go with both, huh? And
Oh,
then
sorry. We just got a question from Andrew Richards in the chat. He asked, "What are the Malaysian brands that made big internationally? That made it big internationally?"
there are many. Slangor Pewter is one of the first to make it big
Oh,
internationally. Yeah?
yeah.
They make it so big now. They are a very
Super
famous
high
brand.
end. Super high
Very
end.
so happen they're selling a product that is very unique. It's
Mm-hmm.
silver and tin. Pewter is made of silver and tin. They have
I've
been
been to their
compared.
factory before actually. It's
Yeah,
they had the tour and all that. It's
yeah.
quite
It's very
interesting.
well.
Everything made by hand. You can literally see the auntie holding the tin with the hammer, ping 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 ping.
Yeah,
Each facet is like very very well done.
because you see today, even 20 years ago, you could manufacture it through machine, but
Yeah.
handcrafted and
Handmade.
handmade are different.
Right,
Handmade and
right.
handcrafted. So
And do you
they
know of
are
any? Sorry, we just got another question from Andrew Richards. He asked, "Do you know of any brand failures?"
Andrew Richard. Brand failure. Today we're talking
Ah.
about success story, lah, Andrew, not failure.
Do I'm sure there are quite a lot, right? Like
Of course,
brands
you
that
see,
they don't evolve. I think like
mm,
Nokia or something like that. I don't
they
know.
are. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nokia is example. They did not evolve fast enough. They not only fail in their communication, they fail as a brand.
Yeah.
Andrew, I'm sure you know. It's good to ask the question. I was just half joking that today we talk about success and failure as well. Now, it's good to introduce one phrase which mainstream advertising people use a lot. Today, I think we still use it. Do we know what is the definition of a big idea? Because we are always looking for big idea, not just an idea, right? Now, for to save time, a big idea is, let's say, 10 people in the room, all seniors, MD, the marketing director, creative director, the top people there. I come up with an idea. There are 10 people, myself, 9. If all 9 said, John, that's a great idea, it is not a big idea.
It has to be
A big
controversial, huh?
idea is, what, you are mad and nobody has done it. All 9
Yeah.
disagree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so why there are brand failures, brand success? Of course, brand failure, Andrew, I'm sure you're referring to not the small players, right? I think the
Hmm.
big players also suffer. The big players also make some mistake because the difference between a big idea and a stupid idea can only be known when you put out your ad. Because if
Mm-hmm.
it's a normal idea, it's not a big idea. So there have been
Mm-hmm.
some huge failure in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Too many to go into detail today, because the big idea. Let's say you promote a new way of doing things. Like Nokia was the first to come out with the online phone.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
That time was Malaysian money 3K to 4K. Yeah.
Ooh.
They did not catch on and it flopped. Yeah. The berry was a success. They did not evolve. Again, they flopped in their advertising as well as a whole brand. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Kodak, they were slow to
Oh
move to
yeah.
digital realm. Yeah. And
Right.
they
Right.
in the early 2000, today very blessed, just the USB will do the pen drive.
That's right.
Early
That's right.
2000, they came out with floppy disk. Floppy disk. They call it Kodak floppy disk. Was a total
Yeah.
failure because sometimes we can extend our brand, sometimes we cannot. Because who are you to go into floppy disk? You are champion in camera, right?
Yeah.
So very quickly, because they were a very big company, but now they are totally wamush already. The big company, they come up with another set of floppy disks, almost alike, and use the name verbatim. It became a huge
Mm.
success. Of course, we all know branding. There's a there's a science to it, but it is sometimes a danger of big idea can be a failure idea. So thanks,
True.
Andrew, for
True.
that
True.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, for the sake of time, since we're nearing the end,
Yeah.
actually, uh, have we finished the
We're going
what's
to
it called?
talk about the distribution, because just
Yeah.
now we answered
Let's
the question.
quickly go through
Very
that.
quickly, going to content distribution. I continue just now. Your
Yeah.
physical realm and your digital realm, you got to go in, because while a lot of the world now happens on smartphone and digital, physical as well. Billboard is also relevant if you have the money to do a message that's fast and come and go, etc. I won't go into detail. Online, online there are 4 types of media for us to be aware of. Own media, whatever you own, your website, your blog, whatever. Paid media, you go through advertising, and then
Yeah.
earned media is good to collaborate with people. You'll be surprised today. Your competitors would like to collaborate with you also. It's not like a dog eat dog world like before. And then free media, social media. Now, how and which social media should you go into? Now we are very targeted in our specific target audience, right?
Yeah.
What's important to them, blah blah blah. But thanks and no thanks, there's so many social media. Your target audience spend time at different places at same time and different time. So we identify where is the Facebook, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, the
Yeah.
TikTok, the YouTube. These are the usual ones, right? Plus a few
Yeah.
more, and the blah 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 blah
But
blah.
you gotta know also, because sometimes if you create on a platform that on the wrong platform, it may reflect badly on your brand also, right?
You see, because while every social media, right, Aaron, while every social media has a general profile of people to to blast themselves and network, each has its own peculiarity. Yeah? So
Yeah.
that's important. But before I give my 2 cents worth on that, is I've been asked this question when I do branding: is can I use the same story at one time? I say why not? Two advantages when you use the same story, because repetition is one of the
Legitimizes.
greatest teachers of
Yeah.
acceptance. You get into the subliminal. The other way is you repurpose the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's why just now I've given, I think, easily 18 to 20 purposes. So you
Mm-hmm.
repurpose the same story. Let's say you have an offering can turn you into a great performer. Example, Nike. Even you're not in shape, because you have the greatness in you. Then you can go into another purpose. Yeah, another purpose is in terms of your offering. Why not do something you never done before? Remember,
Yeah.
elevate to the next level.
Yeah.
And for another social media, you can use another purpose. Talk about the personality. So
Right.
the same story you repurpose. That's one way. Another way is use a different
Mm-hmm.
angle of telling the story. Another way, because I hope if you guys are using ad agency, use those who are well with his storytelling. And
Yeah.
storytelling has various structures. One structure is you just chronology A to Z, the 3 stage or 5 stage. Another structure is the hero's journey, the hero's
Yeah.
journey, like the Hunger Games, like the few of those sci-fi movie that is a hero's journey. Then there's a rags to riches way of doing it, and then you can use this is also used a lot. Media res, is a French term. Media res is start in the middle. Instead of the beginning, someone wants something or problem solved or want to achieve a goal, then solve, go into some conflict, whatever. We must build in conflict and excitement one in our story, not just
Right.
you use my product, you there must
True.
be
True.
conflict
True.
with the person dare not go up to it, and then went in, and then conflict, another conflict climax. As I say, so get agencies who understand the real
Mm.
storytelling. And then the media rest is good. You start with
Mm-hmm.
a crisis first, because normal story structure is you go along with then crisis. You start with crisis. So there are at least 4 to 5 popular structure. So
Yeah.
different purpose, different angle, different structure. So you
Awesome.
repurpose
Awesome.
the story. That's
Yeah.
how we sort of face the situation. Yeah.
Just nice. Because actually we just ran out of time,
All right, I've
unfortunately.
covered whatever needs
Yeah.
to be covered, Aaron.
Nice, nice, nice. So, without further ado, thank you for the audience for coming in. We're live every 8:30 GMT plus 8. And do remember to share, like, and subscribe. Obligatory for me to say, but thank you also, John Tan, for sharing your wisdom. It was nice to have you on and continue this branding series. Today we actually covered quite a bit. We also talked about the examples with branding and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
maybe next week we'll cover something else. Do you
Next
have a
week we'll
topic?
continue because we have outlined all the transmedia and today how to
Mm-hmm.
repurpose viewers. Next week, free session. I mean, all our sessions
Awesome.
are free because I am very well versed in copywriting at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we talk about the art and science of copywriting.
Uy, cantik. All right. All right. So let's let our audience go for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope you have a lovely evening, day, or night, wherever you are in the big wide world. Once again, this is Big Chief Channel signing out. How?